Welcome to the Informed and Oblivious podcast, episode 13. I am Big Phil, and this is Beautiful Raymond.
Oh, I'm beautiful, am I?
Yeah. Can you guess what we're talking about today?
Destiny. Because of Cade's beautiful, beautiful horn.
What the fuck? Your cat just moved my mic.
Yeah, well, you stuck the end of the pole in his face.
Yeah, that phrasing. All right, he got me all fucked up with that one. I wasn't expecting that to look up and see him just scratching his face on the end of the microphone pole. But anyway, no, we're talking today about the one big, beautiful bill.
Ah, okay.
Yes, but before we get into that, as always, folks, if you like what we do, subscribe, like, follow, leave a comment, and you can find us on YouTube, Rumble, and Spotify. So, I don't know if you saw the news, but the bill passed today. They rushed it through.
Well, I didn't see the news that it passed today, but I saw the news yesterday that it was going to pass.
Well, I mean, maybe. The Senate added a lot of fucking bullshit to the bill before they passed it back down to the House, as is tradition. And it seemed like at first that the House wasn't going to pass it, and then they've been working with them all night long to get the bill passed.
All night long.
Yeah, but a much lamer version of it. So they had the people to do the vote. Then the minority House leader went up there and grandstanded for 8 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, he basically, he didn't filibuster it because I don't know if the filibuster is a thing in the House. It's weird. There's different things that you could do in the House and the Senate. But it's called the Magic Minute. And the party
fondling the mic.
What? I'm trying to keep it close to me because it's drifting a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I'm not touching the mic. I'm touching the part of the mic. So okay, am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?
It just looked weird.
Where else am I supposed to hold it? You want down here?
I wasn't expecting you to be holding it all.
Well, it's moving, man. Hold on. All right, now it's not moving. Fuck you. God damn, it's giving me shit. But anyway, so the guy went up there and he literally talked for an hour or 8 hours and 40 minutes straight. Because it's the magic minute where the leader of both parties is afforded to talk for whatever amount of time that they want. And as long as they're talking continuously without breaks, they can just keep going for however long they want. The last long stunt like this was by our own New Jersey Democrat senator or whatever the fuck, where he set the record for the longest filibuster of like 25 hours.
Wow.
Passing the previous one, which was also a Democrat, who filibustered getting I think that was it, the 13th Amendment passed, or maybe it was the Civil Rights Act. Either way, it was a Democrat trying to stop rights for black people. Was the previous one? Yeah. So he had to set the new record to kind of scrub the old record. We don't want to be associated with that. No, that was still your party too, guys. But we won't talk about that one. But yeah, so he did that, and then they had to vote to take the thing to a vote because you can't just bring it to a vote. You have to vote on if you should bring it to a vote. And then they passed voting to bring it to a vote. And then they passed the vote.
Okay.
So now we have the big, beautiful bill passed. There's some winners. There's some losers. There's some good things. There's some bad things. There's some we'll have to wait and see things. So the biggest thing that he did was permanently extend the tax cuts that he put into place in 2017. So the way the budget cycle for the U.S. works is it's over a 10-year period. So you can get away with certain things as long as it looks good over a 10-year period. So certain things they put permanently, certain things they put in a 3-year time span, certain things they put over 10 years so that it's going to expire, so it's not a permanent thing. So it's like fudging the country's credit score, basically. That's the way you got to think about it. So the last time, the thing that they made permanent was the business tax cuts. So the business tax rate was made permanent. This time around, they made the tax cuts to middle class and lower class United States citizens permanent. Now, people don't realize it because once you get a tax cut into place, you notice it for about the first fucking paycheck it goes into place, and then after that, you're just like, this is the money I make now. So you'd have to go back to before the tax cut went into place to like your paycheck in like 2017 to understand, okay, this is how much more I would be taxed if that ran out.
Okay.
Trump says it's about a 65% tax on America. Like it would be a 65% increase in tax on Americans if it didn't pass. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but either way, your taxes would have went up if it didn't. So that one's great. The next big thing that he did was greatly increase the immigration budget. So I think they put away $178 billion for immigration control and enforcement. So that's for ICE. It's actually going to double ICE's budget. It's for the border wall, which he hasn't been talking about build that wall, but he put the money in the budget for it. And it goes to the detention centers like the infamous alligator Alcatraz that we'll talk about later because everybody's also hot and heavy about that one. Fucking idiots. But what a stunt that is. But the other thing that it did was add cuts for Medicare and Medicaid fraud. So it's putting systems into place to better track both Medicare and Medicaid and make sure that there aren't multiple recipients across multiple states with the same social security number. So what they did in a lot of these audits is they discovered that the same person was requesting Medicaid benefits in multiple states. You're only supposed to get it in one. So they've now added a system that checks that so that, or they're going to add a system that'll check that so you can't apply in multiple states. The reason this is a big deal is because a couple days ago, well, maybe like a week ago or so, the Justice Department had a massive bust that they did where they arrested about 400 people, about 350 of which are committing Medicare and Medicaid fraud, and 77 of which were doctors that were distributing opioids during the opioid crisis. So the Medicare and Medicaid fraud thing is very important because it was a lot of foreign nationals for the most part, although some citizens as well. And what they were doing was they were scamming people with disability and the elderly, and they were making fake companies in America and making fake Medicare and Medicaid billing requests, and they got paid out to the tune of, I think it was 14 or 40 billion dollars worth of taxpayer money went to them. Yeah, it's like the largest bust of its kind ever. So I'm guessing part of these provisions in the bill went hand in hand with that investigation that the FBI did, where basically they uncovered all of this fraud and abuse and misuse of the system and said, okay, we gotta rein this in. The doctors thing is also kind of great because they said they're going to be prosecuting them like drug dealers.
Oh, shit.
Because they're like, they are drug dealers. They're like, these guys distributed opioids to actual drug dealers and to addicts during the opioid crisis. And like, they were like clearly abusing and violating it above and beyond like, oh, this is just for pain. So they're going to be prosecuted like they're fucking drug dealers. And hopefully those guys all see life in prison for like what they did for that. The doctors. Mm. The fraudsters, they're going to see prison time. If they're not here in this country legally, we should deport them back to whatever country they came from. Although, potentially, if the country they came from is going to send them back anyway, I'm not an advocate for it, but those are some people that I think we just throw them in Gitmo. Problem solved. You're not a burden to the regular prison system, and you're not going back to your country to just get released and sent back here again. Done and done. But yeah, so because of these abuses, they're adding protections into Medicare and Medicaid, and they're also adding to Medicaid work requirements. Now, this is the part that everybody's freaking out about because they're like millions of Americans are going to lose their health care coverage. Now, I looked into this. Do you know the difference between Medicare and Medicaid?
Nah.
Okay. So Medicare is primarily for elderly people in the United States, particularly those 65 and above and people with disabilities. Medicaid is sometimes for people with disabilities, but primarily for low-income family households. Now, what that means is not that you're not fucking working, but it means that you're working, but you're working either at a place that can't pay you healthcare benefits, or you can't afford the healthcare benefits offered by the Affordable Care Act and the whole like Obamacare website where you can get government-funded healthcare. So, what they're adding now, and I looked into the workforce requirements. Can you guess what the workforce requirements are?
Probably similar to unemployment.
No. If you had to guess, if you had to stipulate how much somebody had to work in order to meet the workforce requirements, what would you guess it would be?
I would hope it would be at least part-time.
Okay, you would be right.
Okay.
The workforce requirements that everybody is losing their absolute fucking minds over is 80 hours a month. You have to work 80 hours a month. That is fucking it. 80 hours a month. And considering that the benefit is supposed to be for low-income families that are struggling, I don't think that's fucking ridiculous at all. 80, you could work 80 hours a month at fucking 7-Eleven. Like, what the fuck are you telling me right
20
now?
20 hours a week. Yeah.
Yeah. You could deliver papers and get 80 hours a month. Like, so when they're like, oh my God, they're going to lose their insurance. I'm like, if you can't make 80 hours a month, it sounds like you're not doing shit anyway. And I'm sorry, we need to go back to where like some of these like welfare things need to incentivize you to actually become a productive member of society again. Because the difference is we've had a culture shift. We're back, you know, when they did the FDR's like Great New Deal shit, where like people were digging ditches during the day and then people were going in at night and filling them in. Because back then people wouldn't take a handout. They wanted to work for it and earn the fucking money. We switched from that mentality to the, I never want to work again and I just want everything paid for me. Which, okay, great. We all want that, but that's not the way the world is. So, sorry, if you want the handout that's paid for by everybody else, you got to work a little bit. And I don't think it's unreasonable. And the workforce requirement, by the way, it can also be fulfilled through like community service things. So you can like go volunteer for the township and there's your 80 hours, which, again, I don't think's unreasonable. So you're like, oh, I don't want to work. Okay, well, go volunteer at the soup kitchen for 80 hours a month. Go hand out food to the homeless people. You know, like, what the fuck, man? Like, bare minimum something to be considered a part of the society that we all live in. But, so there's that thing. The next part that they're all, like, concerned about with that is that because they're going to cut down on those benefits, there's going to be hospitals that are going to close. Particularly in rural America, I also find very fucking funny because the same people that are like, oh my God, they're going to shut down like hospitals in rural America are the same people that hate the people in rural America with a fucking passion. So it's so funny that they hate these people to death and wish they would all die. But then when it benefits them because, oh my God, they're going to shut down hospitals, they're like, what about the people in rural America? You mean the people that you called scum because they voted for Trump in the first place? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I had this argument with someone we know the other day too, and they're like, what are they going to do without the hospitals? One, people need to understand hospital care works on the ratio of patients to the hospital. So as long as if you close these hospitals in key areas, that your patient ratio in the other hospitals doesn't exceed a crazy number, which in most of the places they're talking about, I've looked it up, it won't. You don't need a hospital for emergency care. I think that's what people are confused by. When they think hospital, they're like necessary medical treatment, which it does provide. It provides things like surgeries, cancer treatment, stuff like that, right? ER services, which is the other thing people always associate with the hospital, you can get from most urgent cares nowadays. And those aren't going to shut down. If you have an urgent care in a local town, that's your medical care. you're not going to the big hospital. You're going to the fucking urgent care in your small town.
Don't most urgent cares just send you to the ER for like anything
No.
important?
Nope. Nope. Most urgent cares can give you stitches. They can give you X-rays. They can give you EKGs. A handful of them can even give you casts. And if it's beyond that, they can assess whether you need an ambulance or if you need a medevac, like any of these things. But most of these areas where they're like rural hospitals are going to shut down, you're going to go from the hospital is now 30 minutes away from you to an hour away from you.
I mean, that could be a big...
Yes, for certain things, maybe, but people are confused because the most people like against this live in cities and suburbs where we're so used to everything being 10 to 15 minutes away. There's people in rural communities where literally their grocery store is an hour away. So if you tell them, you got to go an hour to see the hospital or the doctor, they're like, that's just a normal Tuesday. They are not built the same. It does not work the same. There are people in these rural parts where like their closest neighbor is 5 miles. You know what I mean? Like I get it, but on balance, it's not as devastating as they think it is. For certain things, like, again, the ER treatment, either what'll happen is they'll beef it up in the urgent cares, or, again, certain things, maybe people die, but people die even in the cities trying to get to hospitals and waiting for the emergency rooms because the hospitals in cities facilitate way more people. And sometimes people get misdiagnosed in the ER queue and they die because they should have been critical and they got put to the back of the line. It happens. I think the number 2 or number 3 leading cause of death in the U.S. is medical malpractice.
Really?
Oh yeah, that's a fun one that people don't realize. Yeah, your doctor is the most likely source to kill you, and that makes sense because they're the one you go to for treatment for things. And so either they miss it, they misdiagnose it, or they prescribe you the wrong thing, and dead. It's a numbers game. The number 1 is heart disease, and that's not necessarily heart attack. It's because the cause of death of old age isn't old age. It's heart disease. Your heart failed. Cardiac arrest. Heart disease. Done. Then I think the number 2 is cancer, which again, you get old enough, your cells go haywire, you get cancer, it kills you. Done. And then number 3, I'm pretty sure, and we could double check it, but I'm pretty sure the 3rd or 4th leading cause of death in the U.S. is medical malpractice.
Unless that's included in unintentional injuries.
Maybe.
And we got heart disease, cancer, unintentional injuries, stroke, chronic lower respiratory disease, Alzheimer's, diabetes, nephritis, necrotic syndrome and nephrosis, chronic liver disease and cirrhosis. COVID-19, that seems unlikely.
Yeah, I think the AI is wrong. I think you need to go to the CDC actual website.
Nope. They literally pulled it from the CDC.
COVID-19 is still the leading cause of death in America. It's crazy. Accidents, I think unintentional injuries does also include medical malpractice. Because it would be an unintentional injury.
Yeah. And it doesn't go into more detail than that.
Of course it doesn't. I'm sure it does.
That's 2020.
Yeah. It's always behind. It's never like the most. That's how government works. It's always it's a year or 2 behind on everything. Okay, but either way, it's not that big a deal because besides the ER things, which again, a lot of these urgent cares now can handle the bulk of what ERs do, which is why the hospitals love urgent care because it took people away from the hospital. You go to urgent care now instead of going to the ER. Mm-hmm. So it'll be something like that. And for the other care, like if you need a surgery, if you need cancer treatment, stuff like that, you schedule it and you drive an hour and you get it. And when people are like, that's ridiculous, it's like, no, for some of the surgeries that my parents got, they chose hospitals that were about an hour away. And they scheduled it. They went down there, did the thing, and then came back because they chose which hospital they wanted to go to. That's besides the emergency care of a hospital, the other functions of a hospital can be scheduled and you can drive to it. Like, you don't have to have it right around the corner.
Yeah, the only time I've ever been to an urgent care was when I passed out and cracked my head open. And after I went to work, boss sent me over to urgent care, which is basically next door. They asked me a couple of questions and said, okay, we'll make you a couple of appointments for the next couple of days. Go home. So they didn't actually do shit. All they did was ask me a couple of questions.
Yeah, because
I got all my scans elsewhere.
Yeah, but they probably assessed that you were in no critical danger, right? Like, if they were worried, they would have called you an ambulance and sent you to the hospital. Like, that's how that works. So
I think they were like, you drove here? Yeah. All right, you're all right, go.
Yeah, well, and just like when I thought I was having that heart attack, I did the same thing right till they took my blood pressure, and then they were like, "Oh, okay, we're gonna come sit over here real quick." I was like, "What?" They're like, "You're this age and you drove here. You're not having a heart attack." And they took my blood pressure, and they're like I could see the nurse's like face, and she like was like visibly pale, and I was like, "What's up?" She's like, "We're gonna sit here and talk for a little bit." I was like, that's not making me feel better, thanks. But yeah, like, and everything they did for me that day, they did chest X-rays. I think they took a blood test because fun fact, you could tell if you have a heart attack through your blood. Your heart actually releases certain I think like enzymes or chemicals or something in your blood after a heart attack, and that's why they could tell from drawing your blood if you've had one. Yeah. Weird stuff. But, urgent cares can do that. A lot of urgent cares have x-rays now. They're not going to have CT scans or MRIs, but, not every hospital you go to is going to do that for you either. A lot of them will tell you, like, okay, you need to go and get a CT or an MRI from, like, another outpatient facility. And they're not talking about those closing. So, like, wherever those things are now, they're not going to close down. Like, the hospital is one part of the medical system in the country. And if they were facilitating their hospital being in existence by government subsidies, it's because they've overexpanded the hospitals, and they shouldn't be in the places that they're at. Even around here, before all this went down, they've been consolidating a lot of hospitals because they realize we have too many for what patients and needs that we have. So we're closing down the ones that don't see the highest traffic, and we're moving them to other areas.
Yeah.
It's what happens, man. Hospitals are a business. Whether we like it or not, healthcare is a business in this country. So,
a big one.
Yeah, if it doesn't make money, they're not going to do it. And much like, colleges only get away with what they do because of the subsidies of the government. They lose their government subsidies. They're going to close the things that were funded by it, and you're going to have to go elsewhere. It is what it is.
The guys I work with will just complain and come over to this country, and the medications his dad takes are like 20 times the price over here than what they were over there.
Yes.
It's crazy how expensive shit is here.
Yes, because we fund the research and development for the rest of the world. It's the sad truth about it, but that's what happens. We pay so much more for our healthcare because the healthcare costs that we pay then fund for the research for these life-saving drugs and treatments that are then outsourced to ridiculously cheap prices to the rest of the world. That's what happens. We develop the drugs, they use the drug. That's why the innovation doesn't go on in these other countries. It all happens here in the U.S. Like, I think like 90% of like the new healthcare medication comes from here. That's where the money is. So, like, yeah, your drug costs a lot of money, but that's because we're funding the research and R&D. Is it right? Not really, but that's what happens. Because, like everything else, if you sell it in America, you up the price because we're the richest country in the world. And so they're like, yeah, Americans can afford it. And when people are like, my drugs are too expensive. You just bought a $2,000 iPhone. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, you can't tell me your drugs are too expensive on one hand, and then you have a $2,000 cell phone in your other hand. Like what are you telling me right now? It is what it is. But okay, so that's the Medicare Medicaid thing. People are angry. People don't read. They were also going to cut it for illegal immigrants because in certain states, I think including our own, illegal immigrants are receiving Medicaid. They got rid of the provision that was supposed to cut Medicaid for everyone. And now what they did instead was if you have illegal immigrants on the Medicaid program, you instead of getting instead of getting a 90% match from the government for Medicaid, you get a 70% match and then or 80% match, and instead of getting I think the 90% match on the hospitals, you get a 70% match on the hospitalization care. So illegal immigrants will still get Medicaid.
Just slightly less.
Yay. And listen, for people with the work requirements thing, I would be willing to strip the work requirement part away from the bill if we cut Medicaid completely for illegal immigrants. If we said, if you're not in this country legally, we're going to cut your benefits 100% and use it to pay for people that aren't even working, I would be more on board with that situation than the reverse. Because they're not supposed to be here. They're not supposed to be receiving the benefits that we pay for. What we pay into is to benefit the people that are here and are here legally, whether that's through citizenship, green card, visa, naturalization. I don't care. As long as you're here legally, you qualify for those benefits in my mind. And we get rid of the illegal immigrants on it. We do that and it balances out. I'm perfectly fine with it. Have your provision. But the moment you do that, they're going to screech to the high heavens and say, no, we can't do that. It's not illegal to be undocumented. Yes, it is. Let's stop that farce. Yes, being undocumented in this country is a civil offense. They charge you a fine. But entering the country illegally is a federal crime.
Yep.
Yeah, they're undocumented. Just like we stopped calling people homeless people. We call them the unhoused now. Can we stop with the fucking word policing? It's so crazy to me. Call things what the fuck they are. They're illegal immigrants and they're homeless people. Sorry. Yeah, just like they got a substance abuse problem. You mean they're a drug addict? What are you saying? Why are we sugarcoating this? Ridiculous. But okay, that's a Medicare Medicaid thing. Who cares? The next good thing in the bill that nobody's really talking about because they're crying about all the other shit, they got the no tax on tips thing passed. However, because again, it has to balance out the budget over the next 10 years, it's only for a period of 3 years, and that's because the next time that they come to vote on the extension for it, for sure they will pass it. It's a very popular thing to not tax tips. And by the time that they have to renew it again, they'll have another 10-year budget to look at, and they can go, okay, we can extend this one further out, and it's fine. We got other things to make up for the balance. So, for everybody that works in the service industry and relies heavily on your tips, great for you. You're not getting taxed on them anymore, which also means for my Uber Eats and Uber drivers, you're getting tipped less because you're getting more anyway, suckers. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so anybody that works for tips now, I don't know what the amount is. It's some I want to say it's $25,000 a year, something like that. It's not getting taxed, but as soon as you tell people they're not getting taxed on tips, they're not going to report any of it anyway. So whatever, moot point. Tax on tips is gone. You get paid in cash. Boom, baby. You're taking that cash home that night. Don't have to worry about saving some way to pay taxes. You are good to go.
Most of them already were. Like you said, they're not reporting it anyways.
Yeah, but now even if the cash ones you could get away with, but the credit card ones were a little bit dicey. Mm-hmm. Now they can just pay out the credit card ones to them 100% without it being taxed.
Oh, so the credit card ones aren't taxed either. Okay, I thought it was cash only.
No. All tips.
Okay.
But the problem was your cash ones you could hide from the government a little bit. Your credit card ones can't really do that because the business has to pay you, so they have to report it. So the business writes you a check then based off of those credit card tips, as far as I understand. Maybe some places cash you out, but I highly doubt it because any business is going to write you a check. Yeah. So that's a great thing that people are with all the other shit. They're blah, blah, blah. It's no. There's good things in here too. Don't discount the good things. And then the last thing that's really going to fuck up Nevada And the congressperson from Nevada already said they're going to introduce separate legislation to fix this and swing it the other way because it's a huge problem. So they changed the provision that expired this year of the amount of losses that you can claim when you gamble. So the way that it used to be is you can claim gambling losses up to your winning. So that means if you gambled $2 million a year and you won $2 million in a year, you could claim that $2 million that you lost and come out even, and just say, okay, I made $0 this year, which on paper is factually true. You gambled $2 million, you made $2 million. That's it. You came out zero. Now, if you gambled $2 million and you made $2.1 million, you came out $100,000 ahead. You get taxed on that $100,000. Now they changed the provision from up to 100% of your winnings to 90% of your winnings. What that means is now instead of being able to, so let's say you again, we'll make it easy. Let's say you made $1 million and you lost $1 million, so you should come out even. But no. Now the government says, no, you can only deduct up to 90% of that. So you can only deduct $900,000. And now they say, you made $100,000 this year, which you didn't. It's phantom money, but you're going to get taxed on it. So now not only did you not make that money, now you're going to lose additional money because you need to pay the tax. So like even if you came out even, and then you had no additional income, now you getting taxed another $20,000 like you made $100,000.
Well, that's frustrating.
Yes, and it's a slippery slope because I could see this going to other things like stocks and whatnot, where like you're able to write off your losses and everything there. So they're very concerned because all the professional gamblers are immediately probably going to go to offshore gambling where none of this stuff is taxed and regulated, and they're just going to hide it from the U.S. government. And then the people are speculating it's a poison pill because the person who put it in is the parliamentarian in the Senate.
I don't know what that means.
So there's a position in the Senate where the Senate proposes their amendments to the bills. And the parliamentarian is supposed to be unbiased and basically say, okay, these things do or don't apply to the way that we do bills. So they basically say, you put an amendment in, this is what I want to do. And the parliamentarian can say, that doesn't follow the rules of Congress. You need to amend it in this way, and this is what has to happen. So with the gambling thing, they try to just extend it and say, okay, we're just going to do this provision for another 10 years. Fuck it, done deal. How it was, this is what we're going to do. The parliamentarian in the Senate said, no, you can't do that. You can't just extend it. We have to adjust this. And so the Senate Republicans said, okay, let's lower it to 99%. Whatever, no big deal. 1%, it's still not great, but that wouldn't have been that bad because that would have been, now you got to pay tax on $10K in that $1 million example. Still not great, but $10K is like $200 in tax. Who cares? It's not great, but nobody would like lose the farm over it. Most people wouldn't even notice. Parliamentarians said, no, 90%. And because most Republicans are a lot starch conservative, they hate gambling in all shapes and forms because they're a lot of them are very Christian. So they're like, whatever, fuck it. Fuck gambling, who cares? Not realizing how big a business it is in the country. Yeah. Gambling accounts for, I think, like $374 billion.
Ooh.
Yeah, in the U.S. because of all the sports betting now.
Yeah.
So this affects sports betting people too. So what they theorize, and they're blaming the Republicans for this, which is fucking a complete farce. It's a Democrat who did it. The parliamentarian is a Democrat. And they can ignore the parliamentarian, and they fucking should have. But they're the one who put this into play, and what you will see, not this year, but next year, is probably a lot of middle-income people very confused at a very large tax bill that they get at the end of the year. Because a lot of middle-income people aren't going to a casino where, okay, I'm going in and betting on a slot machine or I'm betting at poker tables, and none of that's really getting, report on my taxes because I go in with like $200 in my pocket and then I walk out with like $1,000, And like under a certain amount, the casino's not even going to bother handing you a tax slip. They're just going to be like, here's your money, have a nice day. What's going to hem them up is all the sports betting websites, because a little pop-up's going to pop up one time and tell them, hey, this is the new thing that's going on. We're tracking everything you're doing, and people are just going to close it and not pay attention. And then at the end of the year,
if there even is a pop-up.
Yeah, then at the end of the year, they're going to get a massive tax bill, and they're going to be like, what the fuck? I didn't win all that money this year. Why am I getting taxed on $10K that I didn't make? And it's going to be like, well, you broke even, but that broke even means that you got taxed on $10K now. Whatever it is. And they're thinking that like this is going to piss off enough voters that come to midterms, they'll swing the other way against Trump, because they'll be like, what the fuck? Why am I losing all this money? We'll see. The person from Nevada is never going to let it happen, because Nevada solely survives off of the tourism to Reno and Las Vegas. So they're going to introduce a separate bill that likely will pass to raise that back up, because nobody's really against it. Like, it's not that the Republicans are against it, they just don't care. So they'll introduce that bill and then wrap something sweet in it, and then, okay, it'll be back to where it was. But, so there's a lot of other spending things in there for, like, defense, shit like that. Who cares? It's just, like, extending the things through so we don't get on a government shutdown by the end of the year. So those of you that are still left working for the government after Doge, congrats. You're not going to be, oh my God, the government shut down at the end of the year. Because we did it now. Done deal. But yeah, it blows my mind the amount of people freaking out over this shit, especially for the alligator Alcatraz and stuff like that. They're freaking out over the detention center fundings. Dude, I literally saw a video just before we did this where somebody like made an overlay like comparing the alligator Alcatraz facility to fucking Auschwitz, and I was like, you people are losing your goddamn minds.
All I know is that Florida's selling merch for it.
Why not? They sell merch for Alcatraz, the actual Alcatraz. It's a fucking national park. You could take fucking tourist visits to it. Or sorry, it's a state park, whatever. There's merch being sold for that shit. Like, who gives a fuck, man? Like, if they wanna capitalize off of it, and if they're using that to fund other government programs, cool. If they're using it just to enrich, like, DeSantis's pocket, I'm not really a big fan of that one. But, no, like, so they're comparing this to Auschwitz and the Holocaust, and I'm like, for people that think that this is anything like that, they really need to go back and read a fucking history book. And I really, 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 really find it so fucking ironic that the same people that are chanting from the river to the sea, from all these fucking Gaza like protests, which they don't even understand what that chant is. From the river to the sea, Gaza must be free, means that Gaza will go and fucking exterminate all of the Jews in Israel, and then they will have the territory from the river on the other side of Israel to the sea that Gaza is on. That is what from the river to the sea means, and these fucking people have no idea. And some of them do, which is even worse. So I find it so fucking funny that these people that are literally calling for the extermination of a class of people are like, oh my God, it's like fucking Auschwitz. Shut the fuck up. Like, such hypocrites, dude. It just blows my fucking mind. That is not what this is at all. So for people that didn't read the history in fucking World War II, fucking Hitler was going after classes of people that he considered the others. And the others were disabled. The others were the Jews, because he blamed the Jews for all the problems that Germany was having. The others were the dissenters for what was going on politically in the fucking country at the time. And every single one of these people that they were rounding up were citizens of the fucking country. This is not what we're doing here. Here we are rounding up people that are breaking the fucking law and sending them back to where they came from. Do we cry and sob like this for all the prisoners that we have in this fucking country? Because, newsflash to all these people crying over alligator Alcatraz, you realize that we have the largest amount of prisoners of any fucking country in the world.
By a lot.
Yes. And I don't see anybody shedding a tear for those fucking people. Nor do I see them shedding a tear for the families that are broken apart when those crimes are committed to put them in normal fucking prison. So I'm so tired of this fucking double standard of like we should feel bad for one class of criminal but not the other. Like people need to do their research, and I'm so tired of sitting there and having to listen to it. And like, oh well, we need to. No, you're being manipulated. You people are being manipulated fundamentally with these heartstring things. I could show you the same videos of families being broken up and crying from their parent that stole or got a DUI or did some other illegal thing that now they're going to go away to jail for 5 to 10 years.
That sucks for the family. It does, but
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and it does suck. But these people knew that that these crimes were being committed. And the most recent thing that I told you about the other day was that fucking the pregnant lady whose child unfortunately died in ICE custody. Not born, but like the pregnancy she was carrying failed in ICE custody. Again, there's not a really definitive way to prove either way whether she's telling the truth or ICE is telling the truth as to the care that she received in those facilities. However, what the real truth is she is a Guatemalan citizen here illegally who has been convicted several times of child abuse counts for her other 6 children and is wanted for homicide in Guatemala. So whether people feel sorry for this lady or not, and you can feel bad about what happened, it's fine, it's perfectly normal. At the end of the day, she's a fucking murderer. She's a fucking murderer. Like, just like, you know, I hate all those things where like a criminal's like hot and like fucking like everybody's like posting like, oh, the things I let him do to me. And it's like, you realize that's a fucking serial killer, right? Like, what are like, are you kidding me right now? So, you know, I encourage people to look into and read all these articles, but everything I've seen so far when these things come up, if you fully read the article, the thing falls apart very, very quickly. But stop the fear-mongering people shit of alligator Alcatraz being Auschwitz. You guys are out of your fucking mind. Nobody is talking about killing these people. Everybody is talking about taking them and sending them back to where they came from. And in some cases, people don't even realize that. So maybe you didn't know either. Did you know that, like, under Biden, the White House released an app where instead of having to go through a port of entry to claim asylum, you could claim asylum through the fucking app?
No.
Which completely violates the way that we do things. To claim asylum the normal way, you have to go to a legal port of entry and claim it. Now, if you do it through the airports, you can have justification there because you could have flown from the country that you were fleeing directly to the U.S. and say, hey, I'm here for help. Please let me in. And we evaluate that, and we determine your situation is bad, we'll let you stay here. And people think, oh, well, how could they flee? You don't always have to be like physically held captive to claim asylum. You could be in a dangerous spot, find a way to leave the country, and then claim it and get to stay here. And in the airport case, it works because the way asylum works is you're supposed to stop at the first country of safety. So why it doesn't work at either of our borders is because despite the shit going on with the cartels in Mexico, both Mexico and Canada are considered safe countries. So technically, if you claim asylum at either of those borders, we should deny it to you. Unless you're telling us you're claiming asylum from Canada or asylum from Mexico, at which part we really need a really solid case for that one. There would have to be like a clear case of political persecution by either the Canadian or the Mexican government for us to do that. So unless you're doing that, or unless you're coming by boat, boat's another thing. You could get away with that technically, even though you could easily get on a boat from like Mexico or Canada or Cuba. Like even like the Elian Gonzalez shit back in the 90s. Remember that?
No.
You don't remember the Robot Chicken episode making fun of the Disney head? The frozen Disney head where he like rose up because Elian Gonzalez was going to be sent back to Cuba, and he's like, Elian!
I do not remember that.
Because they had Disney as like a robot eating kids.
No.
Yeah.
Does not sound familiar.
Yeah, it's a fun little Robot Chicken clip. It's absolutely hilarious. But yeah, during I think it was the late 90s, there was a series of cases where Cubans were fleeing Cuba and they kept washing up on the shores in Florida. And the most notable one was the Elian Gonzalez case. He was a kid that washed up here after his family tried to escape Cuba, and the ship got capsized basically, and he was the only one that survived. my recollection is correct. Actually, let's look it up real quick. Look up Elian Gonzalez. Should come up. It's a very famous thing.
Elian Gonzalez, eh?
Yes, Elian Gonzalez. There you go. Boom, boom, boom.
Elian Gonzalez is a Cuban engineer and politician, a 6-year-old child. He was at the... Why is this only half a...
Oh, he's a politician now. That's cool.
Yeah.
Good old Elian.
Yeah. As a 6-year-old child, he was at the center of a high-profile international custody dispute between family members involving Cuba and the United States. Where's the bit? Boat sank during the journey, and Elian's mother, along with most of the passengers, drowned. Elian was floating on an inner tube and rescued by 2 fishermen who turned him over to the U.S. Coast Guard. He's taken to the hospital and treated for dehydration, minor cuts. In addition to Elian, a young couple survived and reached shore separately.
Okay, so I guess not everybody died, but...
So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and then I think they ended up deporting him back to Cuba, right?
Granted a temporary permission to stay, placed him with his great uncle in Miami. His father wanted him back to Cuba. It led to a high-profile and protracted custody battle involving his father and his Miami relative. He was eventually returned to his father's custody after an INS raid on Miami's relative's home in April 2000. They returned to Cuba when the legal dispute concluded in June 2000.
Yeah.
He grew up in Cuba, earned an engineering degree, and worked as an industrial engineer. In 2023, he was elected to the National Assembly of People's Power representing Cardenas, Cuba.
Good old little Elian. He did it. He grew up and became something awesome. But yeah, so like there's cases of that where like even back then like it was a dispute of like, and the Cuban government was behind it too, because Cuba was pushing very heavily of like, yeah, we want our citizen back. Which isn't unreasonable, because if the same thing happened with an American, we'd be like, yeah, give us the fucking American back. Like, you know. So people don't realize that these things happen all the time. And I can sympathize with not agreeing with the policy, but the right way to do it is not hate and scream and cry these like weird platitudes that don't actually happen. The way to change it is by voting, by running for office, by making policy changes. That's why, love him or hate him, the new communist guy that won the Democrat primary in New York, the guy is at least doing that. He doesn't agree with the current policy. He ran, and now if he gets elected, he can change some of these things. And then we'll see. Because somebody was asking me, oh, how do you feel about this guy? I'm like, I don't care. I'm here for it either way. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, well, one, I have no idea who the fuck a Republican running for New York is, which is not a good sign anyway. It means probably going to lose. But I'm like, either way, it works out great. Either the guy comes in and he does this communist shit and he turns fucking New York City into a socialist paradise, or he comes in and does this communist shit and the fucking greatest city that the U.S. has burns to the fucking ground, and everyone learns once and for all that shit doesn't work. So either way is great. He proves the experiment or he disproves the experiment. Mm-hmm. Either way, we have a fucking result, and we know don't do it again. Or do it everywhere. Who knows? Could be wrong. But, at least the guy is fucking doing it. That's the right way of doing these things. Like, calling people Nazis, doing all this other shit. It's like, you guys are crazy, because there's so many people that think they're on the right side of history that usually end up being on the wrong side. What I really find with that stuff is it's like, you know, it's the intelligence fallacy or whatever, where the smarter you are, the dumber you think you are, and the dumber you are, the smarter you think you are. I think it works with this right side, wrong side of history too. The more self-actualized and realized you are that history doesn't look kindly back on anything, the more likely you are to think that, like, maybe I'm not on the right side of history, but maybe I'm not on the wrong side either. We'll have to wait and see how it pans out. And the more history and less self-aware and less literate you are in how these things happen, the more likely you are to think, I would be on the right side of history. And I don't know if you had this going on, but did you ever have, like, in school when we were learning about slavery, Did you ever have like a teacher go like, "Do you guys think you would be against slavery?" And everybody goes like, "Oh yeah, I'd totally be against it." And and then they'd ask like, "Oh well, are you for this thing? Are you for this thing? Are you for this thing?" And basically listing off the popular things of the day, and basically saying like, back then slavery was the popular thing of the day. So if you're for the popular things of the day now, back then you would have also been for the popular things of the day. Like people don't realize that these things that make change were the unpopular thing. And right now, unfortunately, what's going on, it's a popular thing to call everybody you disagree with Nazis. So, on balance, when we look back, people might be like, these guys were a little crazy. They were burning their cities to the ground. You know, like, I tend to lean on the side that's not using physical violence to get their point across. Usually ends up being the side, and in the end, that history looks kindly on when they go back. But, yeah, and another crazy thing that they're doing now, too, I don't know if you saw, there's this TikTok trend going around where people are under the belief that they're taking these illegal immigrants, they're putting them in C-130s, and they're dumping them in the middle of the fucking ocean, shackled together.
I have not heard that. That is an absurd theory.
Yeah, it's got millions of views going around TikTok right now, and one of the videos claiming this is using the literal fucking footage from the Afghanistan fucking pullout. Now, I don't know if you saw that, but during Afghanistan, when we were fucking leaving the Agram Air Base or whatever the fuck, we were taking C-130s of shit out, and the people were desperately trying to get on them and get out to the point where they were like sitting on the wheel wells of the plane trying to ride them, and as the planes took off, these people were dropping and dying.
No, I missed that.
Oh yeah, it was super fucked up. Like that's why people like gave Biden so much shit about the way that he handled the Afghan pullout, because it was last second. And we just fucking dipped. And there was people like climbing over the fences trying to get out and trying to like make their way out and just like clamoring on these things. But so they took the footage of that and we're trying to use that as an example of, look, they're loading up all these people into fucking airplanes to dump them in the ocean and showing fake flight paths of, look, they're going out into the middle of the ocean and then turning around. They're clearly dumping people out there.
Yeah, it's absurd.
Yeah, I'm like, do you people like realize like, yes, okay, the United States is the strongest fucking country in the world, but doing shit like that would turn every other country in the world against us. We're not doing that shit. Like, yes, there could be debate about the treatment of people in the ICE facilities, and I'm tending to lean to agree with there is some mistreatment going on, because before Trump got in, there was abuse under Biden. And when Trump was in, there was abuse under Trump. When Obama was in, there was abuse under Obama. These facilities have problems, but doing shit like this and posting
in any detainment facility of any sort, there's always going to be issues. Yeah,
especially the more people there are. So the more people there are and they're less staffed, the more issues there are with this. And like it or not, the doubling of ICE's budget and and more money for these detainment centers will mean better quality in these detainment centers. It'll mean more staff. It'll mean better facilities and better treatment and better care for the people that are in these things, including better processing. So, like, yes, you might not agree with it, but if you agree with the humanitarian treatment, it's all around a better thing. But, yeah, so, like, I'm not so starched to be like, oh, no, they run these facilities perfectly. No, I'm very aware that those things are very much he said, she said, as what goes on in the regular prisons all the time. Because there's abuse that goes on in all of the prisons across America. And people get busted and sent to jail for that shit all the time. You know.
Probably not as often as it should, but...
Yes, and we also know for a fact, too, that the cartels in the past, and probably the present, too, have infiltrated ICE and Border Patrol. And they work in those things so that, oh, okay, we detain this guy. Yeah, we're going to take him in for processing. And then, you know, oh, I'm in the cartel. Shake, shake, shake. We'll fucking walk you out of this facility. What happened to that guy? Oh, he got transferred to another ICE facility. I don't know where he went. Okay, whatever. Paperwork looks good. And then gone to the ether, because nobody checks that bureaucratic paper trail. It just says filed somewhere, done. Here's his transfer paperwork. Okay, cool, put it in the file drawer. Nobody checks it. Nobody verifies any of these things. Just like in normal prisons, it's such a fucking trope that we have it on TV shows that drugs make it in there, cell phones make it in there, all this contraband makes it in, And who the fuck do you think's bringing it in? It ain't the goddamn prisoners. It's the fucking guards. Getting paid by the prisoners to bring it in. Whoops. I didn't mean to bump that like that. So yeah, so when people are like, these things are perfect, I'm like, no, they're not perfect. For sure, they're not perfect. But when they're like, they're Auschwitz, I was like, you guys are also fucking equally insane. But yeah, I just been very frustrated this week listening to people on both sides of this argument talk insane fucking talk. Because I don't know if you people can tell from listening to me over these several weeks, but I am very much middle of the road. I hate a lot of fucking things, but mostly I hate abuses of the government and rich people. And that doesn't mean I hate the government or rich people, but I hate corruption that doesn't get called out and remedied. And I don't think that's a bad position to have. And I don't think it's a bad position to take everything with a little bit of grain of salt, too. Because I don't trust the people that I agree with when they tell me things either. I research it, and then I go, oh, yeah, I'm wrong. And even in here, we've seen from time to time where I say something, Ray looks it up, and I'm wrong. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm wrong. I will adjust that knowledge. Thank you. This is something I heard. It is incorrect. I've corrected my thoughts on it now. It is what it is. Just like
I wouldn't say you're middle of the road though.
Well, no,
you might not be in the right lane, but you're definitely on the right side of the road.
I'm center right for the most part is where I would say I align. Because there's a lot of things that conservatives agree with that I don't necessarily agree with either. Is what it is. Just like conservatives are very against gay marriage. I don't care about gay marriage. Just don't call it marriage. Call it a civil union. They want the state rights. Perfectly reasonable. The only thing I ever had an issue with back then was the fact that they called it marriage. Marriage is a religious thing. I don't like regular marriage being involved with the state. But if regular married couples get state benefits, gay couples should also get state benefits. I agree with that. It makes sense. In fact, I think any civil union should get benefits. If your roommates living together and you say, hey, I want the same benefits as joint people living together that married people and gay people enjoy, I think you should also receive those benefits.
Yeah, why don't we get that? Let's
Chuck and Lariat.
Let's start that, yeah.
get Chuck and Lariat. But you know what I mean? Because what's the difference? If the state is getting involved and saying we're going to give money to this group of people because they cohabitate, in my mind, people that cohabitate should receive state benefits. I don't have a problem with it. But it's when you get into these weird things where like, oh no, we're going to do it religious. And like, no, we just want marriage. We're not going to force people to do anything. And then they forced churches to marry them when they didn't agree. They forced bakers to make cakes for them and stuff like that when they didn't agree. And I'm like, okay, so then it's not about the benefits, is it? It's about jamming things down people's throats. And the same goes true for the right, where they also shove their religious things down people's throats all the time. And I'm like, it's cool to have religious ideologies and beliefs. What's not cool to say is you have to do these things. Mm-hmm. I'm fine with people telling anybody about the way they live and trying to convince and change their mind is like, this is how you should do things. What I'm not fine with is people by force making people do these things. I never agree with that. So, I know, I have very conflicting opinions because people always try to put me in a box and they're like, I'm like, yeah, but I don't fit in that box, sorry. I reject your box. Just like I always love the ones where like, because I'm pro 2A. And people are like, you're pro guns? I was like, yeah, but I'll never own one. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I don't trust myself with one. I'm never going to own that. And they're like, but you're not against it? I'm like, yeah, just because it's not for me doesn't mean I got to be against it. What the fuck are you talking about? I don't like artichokes, but I'm not trying to ban them. Like, what are you talking about, man?
It would be nice if either the laws changed here in Jersey or if I can move over to PA at some point and buy some.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. It's.
I would like to get an AR, and getting one here in Jersey, it's basically not an AR anymore. Just
yeah. It's very stripped down. Which I was laughing because somebody this week was also like, yeah, it's about time that I get a gun and I'm gonna get an AR with a silencer and a heavy mag. And I was like, not in New Jersey, you're not. What the fuck you're talking about? I'm like, none of those things are legal here. The AR is, but the heavy mag, no. 10-round mag capacity. Silencer, definitely no. Oh, that's another thing in a big, beautiful bill. They were supposed to remove the whole registry for it, but they didn't remove that. Instead, they removed the tax on silencers, some other thing. Well, I guess suppressors. So there was like that whole tax thing that they were doing. But they did...
The tax stamp on that stuff isn't much anyway.
Yes, but they were trying to, with that, also remove the provision of... Excuse me. They were trying to remove the provision of registering it and certain things being made illegal, because I think there's some lawsuit right now with the NRA and the ATF about some like pistol grip or something that they want to like make like illegal, where retroactively current gun owners who have that stuff who are compliant.
That happens a lot.
Yeah. So like there's a class action where if you're an NRA member, which I recommend to any of our gun-owning listeners out there, become an NRA member because it'll protect you and things like this. If you're an NRA member currently for some of these laws that they're suing over, you are granted an injunction by the courts where you cannot be prosecuted for these things until that case is resolved.
Oh.
So until it's settled, you are compliant as long as you are an NRA member because you're part of the class action suit. If you're not an NRA member, you're fucked.
Noted.
Because you don't have a case against the government. The NRA does. But yeah, like all this shit is crazy now. People are calling for civil war and stuff right now. And again, sort of the people that are calling for this are also the fucking people that don't want to work, that would be the first ones to get fucking unalived in a civil war. And it just blows my mind, because the other part people don't realize, if that shit went down that road, which I really hope it doesn't, because I don't want to see things like that. I'd rather see things solved peacefully, and I'd rather see things solved through political action and change than through violence, because it's not pretty. If it comes down to it, like, you got to do what you got to do, but that should always be the last resort in people's mind. And the fact that both the left and the right seem very keen to jump to that right now is very concerning to me, because what it won't be like the last time there was very clear delineations. There was North and there was South. Republicans in the North, Democrats in the South. Yes, there were some Republicans in the South. Yes, there were some Democrats in the North, but it is not so mixed as it is now. Now it would still be Democrats versus Republicans for the most part, but the states are not, here's a Republican state, here's a Democrat state. There's red and blue states, but the margin on those is very slim.
It'd be your neighbors. Like,
yes. Yeah. And people don't realize how devastating that would be. You'd be driving to work like it's a normal day, and all of a sudden gunshots would break out, and you'd be like, what the fuck is going on? And battles would be happening in the streets, and you'd be caught in the crossfire. It wouldn't be like how it was back then, where the Democrats seceded, and it was the North and the South, and we had a civil standing armies, and this is how we did things. But even then, when that happened, I forget who the fucking guy was from the Northern Army that basically went down through the South and was doing the scorched earth tactic and was burning all the fucking farmlands behind him as he went.
Jeez. So,
like, yeah, we think armies fighting in the Civil War, but there were civilians caught in the crosshairs of that too. And that today, especially with the drone warfare that we've seen going on in Ukraine, dude, it will not be pretty. It will not be pretty here at all if that happens. So people thinking that way and wanting that shit, please think twice, because it's not going to be fun for anyone, and it will not have the result that you think it will. And I really hate to say it, and it's not going to be pretty that way either. The last time when the Republicans won the Civil War, they allowed the Democrats to stay in existence, and they melded the country back together for the sake of the country and to have peace and union and stabilization. If this shit happens a second time and the Republicans win again, I guarantee you it won't go, oh, we'll allow this to continue. We're going to see at that point two options. If the Democrats win, we will become a communist country. Full stop. Do not pass go. Mao revolution, Stalin revolution. Get ready for the fucking breadlines. The flip side of that coin, if the right wins, I think we will see a theocracy come to this country. They will get rid of that communist bullshit. They'll get rid of free sex and love. You'll go back to you have to be married to have sex. You won't be able to abort at all. You want the fucking Handmaid's Tale, it'll basically be that. And then it'll be religion reigning supreme in the country again. And they'll get rid of the separation of church and state, and the church will be the state. A la the Holy Roman Empire. Think something like that. Now, the only thing that'll be getting dicey at that point, because the people that will join the side of the right in that will be Muslims. What are you looking at? What's wrong? Ooh, that's a big old spider. You only caught a summer, I got him. Get yourself a napkin, dude. Kill that spider.
I'll clean that up in a minute.
Gross. But yeah, so in this, the Muslims will for sure join the Christians and the Jews in this, because I'm sorry, with the way these fucking people have been talking lately, Jews are going to side with us on this because this shit's been crazy. At the end of the day, it'll be those three arguing who will be the religion at the head of the theocracy. And maybe we'll see a triumvirate theocracy. That'd be amazing. I'd love to see how that one will work out. But yeah, either way, we got lucky with the very first civil war that the U.S. had, where we returned to a normal country in line with the same constitution that was there previously. In most civil wars, that is not the case. A new regime takes power and they completely fucking decimate everybody that was there before, because you don't want that shit to happen again. So I think people really need to think twice, because if we have a civil war in this country, it will be the end of America as we know it. I'm almost certain on it. Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not so much.
Well, you know. But again, big beautiful bill passed. We'll have to see what happens. I'm just tired of the doom and gloom from everybody. And let's chill out, people, because literally it hasn't even been a fucking year yet. That's the part that drives me nuts. Oh my God, it's the end of the fucking world. Listen, we dealt with 4 years under Biden. If we can deal with 4 years a weekend at Bernie's, because that guy wasn't fucking there at all. Who knows who was running the fucking show, but that guy was not there mentally at all. If we can deal with 4 years of that, you could chill the fuck out and deal with 6 months. Relax, see what happens, and if you're unhappy, vote it out in the midterms. That's what they're there for. We live in 2 and 4 year cycles in this country. Your next opportunity is coming in 2 years. Well, 1 more year now. Fucking vote it out if you don't like it. Do it the peaceful way. And protest if you want. I'm all for protest. But for the love of God, stop burning shit to the fucking ground. No, you're not helping anybody. And in a lot of these cases, you're hurting the very people that you claim to be there to protect. The low-income people in these areas. Because you know who suffers the most from burning down these grocery stores and these modes of transportation and destroying these neighborhoods? The low-income people who live there, who rely on these things and can't get out of that fucking neighborhood. What are they going to do now? You destroy the only grocery store they could go to. But no, that's fine. But we can't shut down the hospitals. But same balance there. But yeah, I just think everybody needs to chill the fuck out. Go have some hot dogs, some beer, some burgers, fireworks. And remember that you live in the greatest country in the fucking world on this 4th of July. And America's happy 249th birthday. And I can't wait for the 250th. It's going to be a big, beautiful birthday. The best birthday. It's going to be the greatest America has ever seen.
If you're listening to this on time, then happy 4th, y'all.
Yeah. Have a great 4th of July, everybody. And as always, you can find us on YouTube, Rumble, and Spotify. And give us a like, follow, subscribe, and leave a comment. We'll see you guys next week.
Adios.
Bye.